Alright, I have a new purchase I just made. This is purchase used. This is actually from 2007, so it's actually quite old. Came out of a large boat that had onboard power and a living quarters underneath and a bunch of stuff. I got this for $120, which I find extremely cheap for an inverter. It's made by Xantrex. It's 3,000 watts, and this resembles an Eliminator 3,000 watt a lot actually. And so just because I have this Xantrex inverter here, and it's extremely high quality, I like it a lot. So I thought, hey, this is a lower end version. This is modified sine wave, I believe. I haven't tested it yet, but decided to do a quick test. I got it hooked up only through 4-gauge cables, which is not enough, not even close to enough to what this thing can pull. If this thing can actually do 3,000 watts, like it says it can pull a lot more than what these can provide continuous. So what I did to help compensate is I got the charger on my SW3000. This can put up to, I have it set, I can do more. I have it set to put up to 100 amps going into my batteries, which will keep my voltage nice and high, 14.7 volts, which will help with the sag in these lines to keep the voltage high on this inverter. My test is going to include one 300 watt halogen that I have plugged in here. Goes to that one there. I can only do one. I would do two, but I can only do one because I only have 2 outlets on this thing, because it has a hardwire option which they used for the boat. So I guess that takes away from one plug. So I'm going to use the other plug. I'm going to plug that extension cord in to the inverter, which goes and coils down like a big mess and runs around and right back into my compressor. This is a high RPM oilless compressor. These take a ton of power to start. This one's broken at the moment, so this will be like not under pressure, so it is a slightly easier to start. And I'm going to run the light and start the compressor at the same time. So let's get hooking that up. So I have the plug here. It's got 2 separate 15 amp breakers for each outlet, which is really nice. Okay, so I'm going to start with the compressor off, and I'm going to turn the inverter on, which will turn the light on. Oops, it's a switch. I was hitting the button. There you go. Okay, it's on. The current has gone up to make up for the lights. There's glare from the light. There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna turn this on. I'll set this to the current. This is amps going from the battery. It's extremely inaccurate. I think it's because it's really old. It's only saying it's pulling 16 amps when it's actually pulling more like, I don't know, 35, something like that is what I'd be guessing, because those are 300 watt bulbs. Here we go. Let's see if you guys can see that. You can see the light will dim a little bit. Now we'll put it to kilowatt. That's saying that that's only taking 200 watts when it actually is taking 300. I've checked it with this baby here. Anyways, let's see here. I went over 2 kilowatts for a second. So this thing, even though it's, how many years old is it? It's almost 9 years old already. Still kicking, still doing real good. I haven't opened it up to see what's inside. I'm actually curious to see if this works on it and to see what kind of voltage output we're going to get. Let's find out. Plug that in here. Alright, we got 127 volts. That's actually on the high end. I bet you there's some switches inside where I can change that. I'm going to look into that. 59.6 hertz. That's actually the farthest off I've ever seen an inverter be, but it's old. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt here. It probably wasn't like that brand new. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. And let's see what kind of watts we get with the light plugged in. So light is on again. It's saying 340 watts, and that's probably because the voltage is so high. Ha ha ha. Oh boy. I hope that's just this thing not being able to read it properly. But that's actually really high in voltage. Probably because, like I said, it's so old. I don't think that's going to ruin anything. I've already run my laptop off it for quite a while. But that is old. Or high, I mean. Interesting. So this will actually make things, running higher voltage like this will make things take more power. They may run actually more efficient heat wise and whatnot, but yeah, I'm not super happy about the high voltage, but it's not the worst I've seen. So it's regulating it between 134 and 140. Went up just for a second. Okay, I want to see what happens if I plug the compressor into this voltage. I want to see what's going on. I'm going to be opening this for sure and checking to see if I can change that. Alright, so I'm going to hit this. So, standby, 127 volts. Oh, you know what it might be? I'm going to check this now. Okay, so my input voltage is actually quite high when this thing is charging. I'm going to try shutting it off and letting the voltage drop. I want to see if that affects the output voltage of this at all, because it's holding it at around 13.9 volts. So let's shut this off. We're going to unplug it. Okay, now it's shut off. I'm going to turn it on and leave it on for a while. So there we go. Voltage is staying pretty high because it was just being charged. And this is a large battery bank. See, this controller is hooked up to one end of my battery bank, and this is hooked up to the other end. So going through 12 batteries, this is the voltage difference, 0.2 of a volt, and we got to be pulling at least 150 to 100 or 200 amps from this side. So that is the voltage difference between my setup. I hooked these up this way just so I could look at it and watch it and charge from both sides. It is coming down in voltage. And the inverter is actually going up in voltage. Yeah, I can't say that's good. one thing I'm not very happy with. The only thing I'm going to be using this for is power tools, pretty much. That's too bad. I am going to look inside. Hopefully there's some switches for voltage regulation, but yeah, I'm not liking this super high over voltage as the battery goes dead. 150 volts, that's quite a bit over. 11.7 on the input of this. I'm going to turn the charger back on and see what happens to the voltage. The inverter charger must be closer to this side of the bank than this side of the bank. I have them stringed from one positive on one side to the one positive closer to the other side, but there is still a big difference. It's partially to do with my cabling size between the batteries only being 4 gauge or 2 gauge for the most part. Fan still hasn't kicked. Oh yeah, it just kicked in as I said that. Okay, so fan has kicked on. And now I'm going to shut the compressor off. Very interesting. I'm wondering if it's maybe because this thing hasn't been used in so long, but I'm not sure. I have to do some testing with this inverter. I try turning the compressor on again. Okay, well, that answers a lot of questions I had. Connections are warm, not hot, but warm. Inverter. Fan has turned off. It's actually still very cold to the touch. So, I have some more tests to do with this thing. Obviously, that's has told me a few things about it. I'm glad I tested this. Now I know not to run super sensitive devices off this because this could hurt them, like crock pots and like anything digital with a digital display, like crock pots especially. I learned that the hard way. Ran it off a modified sine wave inverter and ended up with a broken crock pot. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button. There'll be more videos out on this older style Xantrex Xpower inverter.